Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. So the last masla we discussed was where a person, he, in a, we know for this, just remember this is important. In a faraz namaz, it is wajib to recite Surah Fatiha and a surah in the first two rakats, right? In the second two rakats, you don't have to recite Surah Fatiha. It is sunnah to recite Surah Fatiha, right? In a sunnat namaz, you have to recite in all four rakats Surah Fatiha and a surah, right? That you know, right? Like you're reading your four rakats of sunnat of Zohor or four rakats sunnat before Asr, etc., etc., right? But in a faraz namaz, it is only wajib to recite Surah Fatiha and a surah in the first two rakats, in the second two rakats, you don't, you will recite Surah Fatiha, but it's not wajib, right? So what this person done here is he recited Surah Fatiha in the first two rakats, right? Right? Uh, the first scenario is he recited the Surah in the first two rakats, but he did not recite Surah Fatiha. There we say you must just carry on, right? But the second scenario is where he recited Surah Fatiha in the first two rakats and he never recited the surah in the first two rakats, he recited the surah in the second two rakats, right? So, right, okay, we won't say he recite, but then what should we do? So there our ulama say that he must recite Surah Fatiha again in the second two rakats, and then he must recite the surah after that, right? Are you with me so far, Lukman? Then that was what we discussed. Then we discussed, I hope it's clear for all the online people, inshallah. Then we discussed this in our own Hanafi books. There seem to be a difference of opinion, and that is even between the Zahiru Riwayah. Jami'u Saghir Ibarat suggests that it is necessary, and he says like ثم ذكرها هنا ما يدل على الوجوب, that what is mentioned in Jami'u Saghir, it points to this, that like you must recite the Surah Fatiha again in the second two rakats and recite the surah and the surah. But wafil asli, but in mabsut, bilafz istihbab, it doesn't appoint to a compulsion, but it is mustahab, right? So in the next ibadah, they're going to give the reason why mabsut, why al-asal, which is also from the Zahiru Riwayat, the main six books of the Hanafi book, why it says it's not compulsory, but rather why it says it is mustahab to do it. Right? They're saying لأنها إن كانت مؤخرة. They're saying, see, in this scenario where you recited Surah Fatiha in the first two rakats, and then in the second two rakats we're saying recite Surah Fatiha again and recite the what you call it, the surah. They're saying لأن إن كانت مؤخرة فغير موصولة بالفاتحة. They're saying, look here, that this Fatiha that you're reciting in the second rakat, right? It is not a wajib Fatiha. It is not the wajib Fatiha, right? The wajib Fatiha was done in the first two rakats. You understood it? So your surah, لأن إن كانت مؤخرة, if the surahs are delayed, right, to the second rakat, فغير موصولة بالفاتحة. It is not joined with the wajib Fatiha, right? It's supposed to be with the two Fatihas in the beginning, right? Right? فَلَمْ يَكُنْ مُرَاءَةُ مَوْضُوعِهَا مِنْ كُلِّ وَجْهٍ. So you're not discharging it in the exact way it's supposed to be discharged. It's just like you can say it's a remedial manner. So because it's a remedial manner, it is not like how it's supposed to be done. That's why we'll say it's not wajib to do it. Are you with me? Right, then we done the next ibarat that wayajaru bihima, that we done, that you will recite both the surah in the same scenario where we're saying that you must recite, if you never recite the surah in the first two rakats, then in the second two rakats you will recite the surah with the Fatiha, etc. We say wayajaru bihima huwa sahih, you will read both loud. لأن الجمع بين الجهر والمخافتة في ركن واحد شنيع, because it doesn't make sense that you recite loud and soft in the same rakat. It seems so funny. Shani'un means like a frown about thing, right? Right? وتغيير النفل وهو الفاتحة أولى. And we're saying تغيير النفل and changing the nafil. That was, remember the Fatiha in the second rakat, suppose second two rakats supposed to be recited softly, but now you read it loud, so you're changing a nafal. وَتَغْيِيرُ نَفْلِ وَتَغْيِيرُ نَفْلِ وَالْفَاتِحَةُ الْأُولَى. It's better to change that there, right? So yeah, that's clear. It was a bit of a complex ibarat, that one, because there was 2-3 scenarios. Read the next ibarat. So remember, I didn't make a reference to you that what is called, we spoke about, when you will read loud, when you will read soft. Like I told you, that if you are imam, right, then and it's a loud namaz, then you have to read loud. If it's a silent namaz, then you will read silent, etc. When a woman, she won't read loud under any circumstances. She will always read soft, even if it's a loud salah, etc., etc. That details we done. So now in today's sabak, inshallah, we're going to discuss what is the definition of loud and what is the definition of soft. So we already discussed when do you read loud, when do you read soft, right? That has been covered already. So the next sabak now just discuss what is the definition of loud and what is the definition of soft. Read from there. Bismillah. Right. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So when we say thumma al-mukhafatatu, when we say you must recite softly, what is reciting softly? This is very important for the ladies also, because remember their salat is, all of their salat is soft. But when we say soft, what is the minimum of soft? It is ay yusmi'a nafsahu, that you must at least hear yourself. So when a lady is reading a salah, whether it is a loud salah or whether it's a soft salah, she must at least hear herself reading. She mustn't just mouth the words. You understand what I'm saying? So the fatwa is on this. Although as we go through the sabak here, we're going to explain it the other qawls as well. But the fatwa is that mukhafa, or silence, means you must at least hear yourself. See there. ثُمَّ الْمُخَافَةَةُ أَيُّسْمِعَ نَفْسَهُ. So reading silent is that at least he must make himself hear. So if you are a munfarid, you're reading your farz namaz alone as a man, you must at least hear yourself. If you are a woman reading your salah, obviously a woman doesn't make imamat, and she must also hear herself. So this refers to both a jahri namaz and a sirri namaz, right? Are you with me? Even if you're reading your sunnats, you must be able to hear yourself, right? Wal jahru ay yusmi'a ghayrahu. And when we speak about the jahri namaz, that means you are the imam. So there's only one scenario for this here. This is where an imam, a man is leading in other prayers. A man is leading somebody else in a loud salah. Otherwise, there's no other scenario. Is there any other scenario? No, there's no other scenario. There's only one scenario. A man is leading people either in Maghrib, Isha, or Fajr, right? So that is a Jahri namaz. Wal Jahru ay yusmi'a ghayrahu. So a Jahri namaz is at least that you must make the person next to you be able to hear. So, yes, obviously, when you are the imam of a big congregation, the whole congregation want to hear you reading your salah, reading the Qiraat. Look, in today's day and age, there's microphones, although that is a separate subject matter now, but the usage of microphones, etc., in salah, there's still some orthodox ulama that say, no, it is not the original voice. That's why it's not permissible. Some ulama say, okay, it is permissible at the time of need, but when you got few people, why put on the mic? That is just for show because you want sound effects. But we won't go into that details at this point in time. But just what we're discussing here at this point in time is this here, that what is the minimum of reading salat loud? And there's only one scenario for this. This is when a man is imam, he's got somebody that's reading with him, and then it is the Maghrib namaz, or it is the Isha namaz, or it is the Fajr namaz. So the minimum is what? that the person standing next to him must hear him. So if he doesn't read so loud that the person standing next to him can hear him, then we'll say he did not fulfill the condition of jahar. Then obviously it is wajib, and then obviously if we leave it out, then as I said, if it was unintentionally, it can be compensated for in the form of sajda sahu, and if it is done intentionally, then you have to repeat the namaz, right? So والجهر أن يسمع غيره وهذا عند الفقيه أبي جعفر الهندواني. So this definition which we gave here, this is according to the jurist from within the Hanafi madhab, Abu Ja'far al-Hindawani. Why he said لأن مجرى حركة اللسان لا يسمى قراءة بدون الصوت. So here he's saying that why we're saying even in a sirri namaz, why even a woman that is reading salat alone at home, or a man that is reading his sunnats, or is reading his faraz, he must at least hear himself. Why? Because he say لأن مجرد حركة اللسان, because the mere moving of the tongue لا يسمى قراءة, it is not called قراءة بدون الصوت, without any voice. There must be some sound. When you say this person is making a qiraat of the Quran, etc., etc., you must hear some sound. If you don't hear any sound, it is not considered to be qiraat. You understand what I'm saying? Then you will say you're mouthing the words. Like look at me, for example. You say, I'll tell you my name is Adil there, right? You never hear anything. So will you say this person is speaking, or just look at me if I say, you won't say that's qiraat of the Quran. So that's why. But if I say, I can hear myself. So they say, look here, lexically speaking, only when you can when there's a sound. And how do we know there's a sound? When you can hear yourself, right? Then that is considered to be. So this is very, very important for the ladies also, that they must remember they must be able to hear themselves, right? And the fatwa is on this call. Although here in the next text they're going to explain the 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 call of Imam Karhi, like okay, when you do ifta, inshallah, when you do the mufti course, then you got what you call the ashabut tarjih. The ashabut tarjih are those ulama that came afterwards, and they where there's different aqwal in the Hanafi madhab. Maybe Imam Abu Hanifa said so, and Imam Muhammad said so, or Imam Yusuf said so. Then they will choose which is the fatwa on this is ashabut tarjih. You do the different tabaqat. When you do the iftar course, you do the different tabaqat of the fuqaha. So these are from the ashabut tarjih. They're the ones who chose the aqwal. So وقال الكرخي, Imam Karhi said, Adna al-Jahri, the minimum of loud is ayusmi anasahu, that he must be able to hear himself. But remember what Imam Hindawani said? No, the minimum of loud is that you must make another person next to you hear. Remember that, right? So, وقال الكرخي أدنى الجهر أن يسمع نفسه, right? وأدنى المخافتة تصحيح الحروف, and he said the minimum of silent is that you just mouth the words properly. تصحيح الحروف. Why? He says لأن القراءة, he says look, قراءة فعل اللسان دون السماخ. That he says that look, قراءة is the action of the tongue. So he says look here, so this is his reasoning. He says look here, that قراءة is the action of the tongue. So it's not the action of the ear. So whether the ear can hear or not, it makes no difference. Whether the ear can hear or not, it makes no difference. لأن القراءة بقراءة فعل اللسان, it is the action of the tongue. دون السماخ, it is not the action of the ear. Right. So this is his reasoning. But I tell you the fatwa is not on this. The fatwa is on the previous one. وفي لفظ الكتاب إشارة إلى هذا. And he say if you look at the kitab in Kuduri Sharif, etc., right, there is indication to this opinion of his, that so long as uh, you mouth the words, it's fine for sirri, and as long as you can hear yourself, that's good enough for jihari. But I told you the fatwa is not upon this. Resting وعلى هذا الأصل كل ما يتعلق النطق كالتلاقي والإتاقي والاستثناء وغير ذلك. So based upon the same اختلاف, on the same difference of opinion, are all the masail of whether we consider something pronounced in Islam. So look, for example, if you want to issue a talaq, remember we done this before, or you done it, that if you just think about the talaq, that you're talaqing your wife, the talaq will not take place. You must say the words. So according to the first goal, you must be able to hear yourself. You must say, I've talaqed her. If you say like this, for example, then according to the first goal of Imam Hindawani, there's no talaq, right? You understand what I'm saying? According to the second goal, so long as you mouth the word, it's valid. So that means the talaq will take place. You understand what I'm saying? Like, for example, itaq. So according to the first goal, if you say like this, look at me 1 second. Are you saying I freed my slave, but no sound came out? Then what? According to the first call, the slave is not freed. According to the second call, the slave will be freed. If now, for example, like this, if I tell you, for example, look here, you tell your wife, I'm giving you 2 talaqs. Then you say like this here, I'm giving you 2 talaqs except one. So it means it's one, right? So according to the first call, that exception, it will not be valid because you never hear yourself. And according to the second call, you don't have to hear yourself. So long as you mouthed it, is good enough. You understand what I'm saying? Or if I say, look here, I confess that I owe this person 1,000 dirhams except 500 dirhams. So you said, I owe this person 1,000 dirhams. In silent, you said, and you never mouthed it, then you will say the confession is on 1,000. That exclusion of 100 will not be valid. You understood that? Okay, let's stop there, inshallah. Now we switch over to the tafsir. We'll continue with this Monday, inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallah wa bihamdika. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.